Frequency Podcast Network. Stories that matter, podcasts that resonate.
Okay, here's a word that might make you feel some things. Sports. A hobby for some, a distraction from the shambolic nature of this world for others, or maybe even a matter of life or death for a certain few. We're mostly referring to Blue Jays fans tracking the plan of Shohei Ohtani. This was another wacky year indeed in the world of sports, I'm being told. So today on The Big Story, let's take a look back at some of the big sports stories that captured your attention. Let's get into it.
I'm Simon Bennett with a look back at the very first day of January and the start of a big year in women's hockey.
The past, present, and future of women's hockey meet right here, the inaugural puck drop.
With just months of build-up, the Professional Women's Hockey League debuted in front of a sellout crowd at Mattamy Athletic Center. No team names or logos yet, just PWHL Toronto losing to New York in the league's first ever game. Attendance records repeatedly fell. On April 20th, over 21,000 showed up for Toronto against Montreal at Bell Center, a record for any women's game, pro or international, and Captain Clutch was saluted. They're fighting off tears after that intro. Toronto finished in first place, got to choose their first round opponent, only to fall to Minnesota in the semifinals. Minnesota eventually captured the league's first Walter Cup. Season 2 is underway. The league's 6 teams now have their nicknames. The Toronto Scepters playing full-time at Coca-Cola Coliseum, and the league already hinting at expansion.
So back in January, The Big Story spoke with a reporter at Defector, Maithri Anantharaman, had some context on how the PWHL got here.
Yeah, it's a young sport in terms of its development. Of course, women have been playing hockey for a long time, but mostly at the amateur level or collegiately. Women's hockey only became an event sanctioned by the International Ice Hockey Federation and then by the Olympics in the 1990s. And so the opportunities to play it and have some exposure were rare. And so I think once it did become an Olympic sport, then you did see a few attempts in the late 90s, the initial National Women's Hockey League. There was a Western Women's Hockey League in the early 2000s that didn't really go anywhere. And so then there were a couple attempts after that got us to where we are now. But it's both been a long road and then also it's a young history.
And it was not just women's hockey in the spotlight.
I'm Mike Leach with a look back to May 23rd, the day We the North welcomed She the North with the announcement that the WNBA was coming to Toronto.
I am honored to officially announce that we have awarded the City of Toronto the 14th WNBA franchise.
WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelbert announcing that a group led by Kilmer Sports Ventures Chair Larry Tannenbaum had been awarded a franchise in the rapidly growing Women's Basketball League. With the emergence of the PWHL Toronto Scepters, Tannenbaum now seeing an opportunity to bring another set of sporting heroes to the young women of not just Toronto, but all of Canada.
Our team will complete the pathway for women in this country. They will see heroes that look like them in person and on the air all summer long. They'll gain inspiration from Asia Wilson, Diana Taurasi, Brianna Stewart, and Kia Nurse. They can see that the sport they play as girls and as women is just as important and worth investing in.
The team tipping off in the 2026 season and will be known as the Toronto Tempo.
I'm Simon Bennett with a look back at September 19th and a feat never seen before in Major League Baseball. Los Angeles Dodgers unicorn Shohei Ohtani on track for the first ever 50-50 season. That's 50 home runs and 50 stolen bases. Facing the Miami Marlins at Lone Depot Park, reaching base, he got the 50 steals early in the evening, then home run 49, followed by...
Sends one in the air, the other way! Back it goes! Gone!
There it was, the first 50-50 season, but he wasn't done.
Oh my gosh! Shohei Ohtani! The greatest day in baseball history!
In this game alone, 3 home runs, 6 hits, and he drove in 10. Just stunning. Ohtani through his translator.
You know, it was something I wanted to get it over as soon as possible.
Ohtani would finish the season as a champion as Dodgers captured the World Series weeks later.
Now to the world of golf.
I'm Simon Bennett with a look back at May 17th and a bizarre day at the PGA Championship. First tragedy as a worker was struck and killed by a shuttle bus outside the entrance of Valhalla Golf Course in Louisville, Kentucky. With first responders on the scene, play was delayed as traffic was backed up, and that's when world number one Scottie Scheffler attempted to enter the course. He says he misunderstood signals from officers when approaching the area. Once stopped, officers grabbed Scheffler out of his car and took him away in handcuffs.
He's going to jail, and it ain't nothing you can do about it.
That went viral, along with his mugshot in prison scrubs, detained with charges including assaulting a police officer with his vehicle. Eventually, he was released, returned to the course, and made his tee time. Then he spoke afterwards.
I did spend some time stretching in a jail cell. That was a first for me. That was part of my warm-up. I was just sitting there waiting.
By the way, top 10 finish. The charges were dropped weeks later.
All eyes were on France this summer.
This is Jamie Pulfer with a look back at Monday, August 12th, and the welcome home for Canadian athletes at Pearson Airport, still riding the Summer Olympics high from Paris. Torontonians sharing in that joie de vivre.
Pulled in the most medals in the history of the Olympics where there's been no major boycott. It's really awesome to see.
27 medals, including 9 gold, and also the summer of summer.
17 years young, supreme confidence, unmatched ability, and 4 medals. The arrival of the next great Canadian star on our sports landscape.
Sportsnet's Arash Madani talking about Summer McIntosh in the pool. Canada also hammer throwing to double gold. Andre DeGrasse taking the top of the podium with the men's 4x100 meter relay team. Breakdancing broke into the games with a golden performance from Vancouver b-boy Phil Wizard. All after the Team Canada soccer drone spying scandal that started the Olympics.
It made Canada look terrible, and that's not what Canada is.
The next Summer Games will happen under the Hollywood sign, Los Angeles 2028.
I'm Simon Bennett with a look back at November 2nd. History at Scotiabank Arena. As part of the Toronto Raptors' 30th season, the club retired their first number.
It's over!
Vince Carter helped put the Raptors on the map but left them bad terms way back. Time has healed the wounds. Nothing but cheers weeks after his Hall of Fame induction as Raptors past and present sent well wishes.
It was a pleasure playing with you.
Vincenity lives forever.
He's half man. He's half amazing.
Carter himself in tears as he thanked the team and the fans.
I hope and pray we enjoy our jersey being retired forever.
And then his number 15 banner was raised to the rafters. The current team on a rebuilding season, all dressed in retro purple, got the win that night.
This is Alex Xero with a look back on November 12th when Canada Soccer fired women's head coach Bev Priestman. This story began in the lead-up to the Paris Olympics. New Zealand accused the Canadian women's soccer team of using a drone to spy on their practice, and after a FIFA investigation, Priestman along with 2 other Canadian assistants were suspended for a year. FIFA also docked the Canadian women 6 points, but they still got to the Olympic quarterfinals, where they wound up losing to Germany. After the Olympics, Canada Soccer commissioned an independent report looking at what happened in Paris, and on November 12th, Canada Soccer released some of the report. The report found that 2 members of the women's coaching staff directed, approved, and condoned the actions by a 3rd member of the staff to film the practice of an opposing team using a drone, and that the women's players did not view any of the drone footage. Coach Bev Priestman, assistant Jasmine Mander, and analyst Joseph Lombardi were all fired. And drone usage appears to have predated the Olympics, with Canada Soccer opening a case against John Herdman. The report unearthing potential violations by Herdman when he was coaching the senior men's national team.
I'm Simon Bennett with a look back on October 25th in an iconic moment in baseball's World Series. Game 1 of the Fall Classic at Dodger Stadium. LA trailing the New York Yankees in the 10th inning. Now, remember 1988? Kirk Gibson's famous Game 1 walk-off against Oakland?
She is gone!
36 years later, Game 1 on the line, bases loaded for Freddie Freeman.
Freeman hits the ball to right field. She is gone! Gibby, meet Freddie!
Same stadium, landing in almost the same spot as Gibson's home run in '88, and almost the same time of day, 8:39 p.m.
Are you freaking kidding me right now?
Freeman's walk-off grand slam for a Dodgers win they'll be talking about for years. Before leaving the field, he embraced his dad in the front row.
He's been there since I was a little boy, throwing batting practice to me every day.
The Dodgers would capture the World Series in 5 games.
Well, I am enlightened. That wraps up this special year in review episode of The Big Story. You can send us feedback on this episode or any other by emailing us at hello@thebigstorypodcast.ca. You can leave us a voicemail at 416-935-5935. We're on anytime on the Seeker app or on all of your favorite podcast players. We always appreciate a rating, a review, a follow, and even a share. I'm News Radio's Mitch Berg. Thanks for listening.